Hey guys, Tina here. Today I'm bringing you my May reading wrap-up. The month of May was really interesting. It started off really well, then it became sort of slumpy, but at the end it picked back up, so that's good. I read a few books, not too many, and definitely not as many as I would like to, but what can you do? Life. The first book that I read was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and that is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. As you probably know by now, this is the conclusion to her Raven Cycle series, which tells the story of Blue and a bunch of boys who are on a mission to find a long-dead Welsh king, Glendower, who is asleep on a ley line, and if you wake him up, he will grant you a wish. Of course, they're not in complete agreement what that wish should be, but still. This is a bit darker than the previous books. Bad things are happening, and if they don't find this king, things might go really, really wrong. So it's a bit more pressing that they actually find him. It was enjoyable. I really liked it. It ended pretty okay. It wasn't maybe the best ending, but I like it. As a whole. There were interesting characters as always. We get to meet another villain. And Maggie Stiefvater sure knows how to do her villains because they're so interesting and fun to read that you just sort of like them even if they're totally unlikable, which is a feat. There's also another character that joins our group of kids, which we get to meet in the previous book, and I did like this character, although I wasn't too happy about him having such a prominent role in this book. But all in all, it was a great book, and I totally recommend this book and obviously the whole series. The next book gave me the worst book hangover ever, and it's A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I'm pretty sure you're tired of hearing about this book by now, but still. This is book 2 in her A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, and it tells the story of Feyre, who is, a human living in a world where humans and fairies don't really mix, and she does something bad and she has to pay the price, which is, she has to move across to the fairy realms and spend the rest of her life there. She gets entangled into their intrigues and politics, and well, things happen and we end up here. Now, this book is far better than the previous one, so in case you didn't like Court of Thorns and Roses, don't give up, try this one. From the reviews I've seen, you're bound to love it. I really liked it. I love the characters in this one. I love the character development. I love the story. It, really, after I finished this, I was in the worst reading slump ever, and is that really a compliment? Yeah, I suppose it is. It is from me. So, I'm not gonna ramble more about it. Just go check it out and see for yourself. After Court of Mist and Fury, I ended up in the worst reading slump ever, and I started a bunch of books, but just wasn't in the mood to read them, so I put them aside and decided to read a few young adult and new adult books, which always managed to get me out of a reading slump. They're fast to read, they don't take a lot of thinking or memorizing or anything. I read a few. The first of those was Wild Cards by Simone Elkeles. It tells the story of Derek, who gets kicked out of the private school that he's attending and then has to move across country to Chicago with his stepmother. There they're moving with her family, and he gets to meet Ashton, who is his stepmom's sister. Now Ashton is sort of a tomboy. She's really into football, and she actually selected to be the team's, her high school team's captain, which, doesn't go well over with her boyfriend. So both teenagers have a bunch of problems to deal with, and they do not really get along well at the beginning. But there was some, chemistry between them, and, read the book to see what happens. The next one I read is Wild Crush by Simone Elkeles. It tells the story of Vic and Monica. They're friends because, Monica's actually dating his best friend, and they get along just fine. There's secrets being kept on both sides of this love pairing, and situations push them together, tear them apart, and things happen. It's a pretty typical YA book in that regard. The next book I read was Crash Into by Katie McGarry. This is a story of Rachel, who to the outside world has a perfect life, but in fact she's having a real hard time, and the only thing that's keeping her safe is driving around in her car. And we also have Isaiah, who is a foster kid and a mechanic, and he's in desperate need of money, so he decides to enter a street race, which is where these two teenagers meet, and things don't exactly go as they planned. Both of them end up owing a lot of money to a guy you should not owe money to, and if they want to, you know, and if they want to pay off their debt, they have to work together to solve this problem. The next book I read was also by Katie McGarry, and it's called Nowhere But Here. We get to meet Emily, who's quite happy with her life, but then she has to go across country to meet her biological father's family, and she's not too happy about that. The fact is that her father is the head of a motorcycle club, and because of his position, she might be in danger once she's there. So his father, you know, gets this guy called Oz to look after her. And, you know, not just physically, you know, that stuff doesn't happen to her, but he also has to make sure that, you know, she doesn't learn all the family's secrets that have been kept from her. And, yeah, she's not too pleased about that. But, you know, we get to see what happens. There's a bit of romance, there's a bit of danger, and just another YA contemporary. After those books, I switched over to new adult, and the first book I read was Lynn's Wait For You. Lynn is also known as Jennifer L. Armentrout, in case you didn't know that. Anyways, this book is about Avery, who moves all the way across country, you know, to get away from her past and her family to start college. And on the first day of her classes, she gets to meet Cameron, who is this gorgeous guy, you know, who has no problems meeting girls, and she's, you know, all confused why he's into her. And, you know, she keeps things slow and they become friends and eventually, of course, something else. But they both are keeping secrets from each other, and those secrets keep pushing them apart all the time. And, yeah, well, you have to read the book to see whether or not they can overcome those problems and make a life for themselves. The next book I read is Be With You, also by Lynn. This is a companion or sequel to the previous book. We get to meet Teresa, who is Cameron's sister. She wants to be a dancer. She's always wanted to be a dancer, in fact, but she ruined her knee, and now she has to make new plans for her future. So she decides to go to college and become a teacher. We also learn that she's in love with Cameron's best friend, Jace, who is totally into her, but for some reason he's, you know, pushing her away. And it's up to Teresa to actually, you know, figure things out, why that is happening. And when she does, she has to make him understand that his past is not a reason for them not to be together. These were the books that I used to get out of my reading slump. The thing with, you know, young adult romance or new adult books and me is that I have outgrown them. I am not interested anymore in these books. Like, you know, a few years back I would have really loved them, but not so much these days. So I try not to judge them too harshly, and I'm not gonna go, you know, into any star ratings here or anything, because, you know, the fact is I'm not their intended target audience at all, and I can respect that. I still find them to be fun to read, enjoyable, and useful, as you can tell. So the last book that I read in May is The Magician King by Grossman. This is book 2 in his Magicians trilogy. And we get to see more of Quentin and the gang. Now, this book picks up about 2 years after the first one, The Magicians, ended. Quentin is his old self, you know. It seems that he's never satisfied. Elliot, Janet, Julia, and Quentin are kings and queens of Fillory, and while some, you know, like Elliot, are really enjoying their role, Quentin is being restless again because, you know, he needs something to fulfill him, and he figures that another quest is just the right thing to do that, which, of course, you know, starts off pretty well, but then lands him in a whole heap of trouble, and maybe just in time, because apparently magic is in trouble and somebody needs to save it, and Quentin just might be the right person to do it. I enjoyed this book far better than the first one. I found it to be more humorous. Nothing was taken too seriously. The descriptions that Grossman comes up with are just amazing. I'm in awe of his imagination. The characters, I think, were more likable. Even Quentin, you know, he has his ups and downs. But, you know, he's quite enjoyable in this one. We also get to see a lot of Julia's backstory, which was not too engrossing for me, but it did, you know, it did tie in with the rest of the main plot, so that's good. I really can't wait to get to book 3 and see how everything works out. These were all the books that I read in May. Did you read any of these? What did you read? Leave a comment down below and please tell me. And see you in my next video. Bye!